Today I want to talk a little bit about different ideas I've had related to the channel and kind of my experiences with doing YouTube videos. And first of all, one thing that I really thought was interesting that I noticed is that whenever I tried to write a script a little bit and kind of figure out what I'm going to say and then maybe read it and do the video editing separately, I don't have as good of a time. It just doesn't feel as genuine, doesn't feel natural. And so the more I've done this, the more I've started to realize, both personally and also in terms of what I see in other content creators that I watch, the best content creators tend to be people who speak candidly, people who speak from the heart, people who are able to just be honest and genuine and talk in a way that is not scripted. Not only is it better in terms of being more engaging, it's also much easier than having to write a script and then read the script and then make sure you didn't make any mistakes in it and then tie it in with your video that you have to produce separately and all of that. It's nice to just be able to turn your camera on and produce some content, especially if you want to produce content regularly on a daily basis or something like that. It's just nice to not have a lot of barriers to entry, so you can produce content quickly whenever you feel like you have a little bit of time. Now, another thing that I have thought about is that there's a desire on my part to make this channel be a motivational channel. I want to talk about things that are more important than just gaming. But I also do want it to be a gaming channel because it was gaming that inspired me to make the channel in the first place. Another thing that's true is that I have noticed a lot of the people who I watch on YouTube, because they are inspirational or motivational to me, they're also people who I originally started watching because they were content creators for a game. Take, for example, Zepla. I think Zepla is really cool, and she's a content creator for primarily Final Fantasy XIV. Asmongold is another amazing content creator who is loved by many people, and I got into watching him. I like him because he made World of Warcraft content and other MMO content. But a lot of the stuff he makes today has nothing to do with even gaming. It's just lifestyle stuff. But I wouldn't have started watching him if he wasn't talking about a gaming topic that interested me. Then that's where I started to realize, okay, I like this person as an individual, and now I'm subscribed to them. Even if I moved on and I played a different game, I still want to know what they're saying in their videos because I enjoy the content that they're producing as a person, not as a gamer. But you don't get those people to find you if you don't start off by having a topic to kind of lure them in with. Another thing is, I guess it's a question of, do you want to stream or do you want to upload? Because you can do Twitch, or you can even stream on YouTube, or you can produce a video and then upload it. And what I found is, first of all, if you upload a video, the quality is going to be better than trying to figure out how to get your streaming settings to be right. And even if it's not going to be a video that people want to watch a lot for quality, it's still nice to not have the artifacting and all those other little things that can happen on a streaming video. You upload a video that has the correct resolution, that has less potential issues with it. It's just, I think it's nice. The other thing that I've pondered is, to what degree do I want to engage with other people who are watching while I'm making the content? And the answer is I really don't. I don't want to be trying to mindfully play a game and then I have to also try to be an entertainer of people who are in the chat while I'm doing it. That ruins the sense of immersion, and it just makes it overall not a very good experience. And then the other thing is, you can't just take a break. What if something happens? What if you get a phone call? What if you want to go get something to eat? What if you got to go to the bathroom? How fun is it that you're playing this game and now you kind of feel like you're committed to it? You can't get up and go do something else. You can't hit pause. That's not a really good experience ultimately. And if I'm not having a good experience, then what's the point of even trying to make content? Because the truth is, I don't believe in making content for others exactly. It's really a personal journey. It's a personal thing. The best experiences I've had in gaming, I remember when I was a child, there's this guy, and he was kind of like a dad to me. He wasn't my dad, but I spent a lot of time with him. He was a bit older, you know, I think he was kind of at the age where he was probably more like the age of what you'd expect a grandfather to be than a dad. But anyway, we would sit there at the computer. He's the guy who introduced me to computer games in the first place. But we would sit there and we'd play games like Civilization 2 at that time, or SimCity 4. We'd play Empire Earth. There were different games we'd play. And mostly what that consisted of was me playing the game, and he would kind of be the armchair general, just taking interest in it and sharing the experience with me. And it made it so much more real, because we were having this war room man-to-man talk about how we were going to move our aircraft carriers and what kind of units we were going to produce and how we were going to defeat the enemy and what kind of diplomatic procedures we needed to follow. It was just an amazing role-playing adventure, because I was mindfully doing it and I was sharing that with somebody else. So that leads me to the topic of producing just general gameplay videos. And that's something that I'm going to be doing, not because I really expect other people to watch them. If I sit down and I play a game for an hour and a half and then I upload the gameplay footage of it, well, that does a couple things. One thing is, it establishes and clarifies that this is a gaming channel. That is the purpose of it. And then lifestyle and other things I just like to talk about, that's going to be a daily thing, of course. And that's really my passion. But to give it the meat and substance of having gaming content that's a diverse assortment of different games I choose to play as I play them, that adds some flavor to the channel, I think. It's also useful to me because the more you kind of have the mic on and you're talking and you're developing a cadence surrounding being accustomed to doing that, the better you get at it. And that's one of those things, I think, especially if you haven't ever made any videos, you haven't produced any content at all, you're thinking about it. The first step is you just have to turn the camera on. You have to start doing it, because just like driving a car or any other thing, if you don't start and you don't start being consistent and trying to do it all the time, it's not going to be part of your life, and it's not going to become second nature to you in the way you need it to. And then the other thing is mindfulness. And mindfulness is something I think about a lot. It's something I will talk a lot about in my videos, and it's something that I've realized I need to work on. And that is, I'll get games and then I don't even enjoy them sometimes, because I don't take time to really immerse myself in them. I will multitask and do other things while I am playing, and then it just winds up not being fun because I'm not really just sitting down and focusing on, especially some games that are a little bit more complicated, that require a little bit more mastery. If you don't pay attention to them, you don't have a good experience because they're too complicated to be something you're doing on your second screen while you primarily pay attention to a YouTuber or the evening news or something. So streaming, or rather, I'm sorry, not streaming, but recording my gameplay sessions and then uploading them, that's also something which, even if nobody ever watches a single one of these videos, it helps me because I know, yes, I can pause the recording, I can take a break, I can step away, that's fine. But I know that when I'm doing this activity, I'm going to be doing it 100%. I'm paying attention to it, I'm reading it, I'm listening to it, I'm immersed in that experience. And that helps me to be able to feel good about the way I'm spending my time. I couldn't tell you how many times I have sat down and thought, you know, here's how my weekend's going to go. And then the weekend goes by and I feel like, man, I didn't do any of the things that I was thinking I wanted to do. And why is it? It's probably because I got distracted by stuff. And you're just watching YouTube videos and scrolling Facebook, and next thing you know, 1 hour turns into 7 hours and a day is basically gone and you didn't do any of the stuff you wanted to do. And that's not a good feeling. And it's something I want to work on because it really is totally in my control to do something about it. I think I've gotten better in some ways, but I still think I have some work to do there. So this helps me not only share those experiences, kind of like how I was saying when I was a kid, sharing those gaming experiences with somebody else was so wonderful. This gives me a chance to do that, but it also gives me a chance to work on myself in a way that is impactful and meaningful. And that leads me to another thing that I've thought about that I think is worth mentioning, and that is, if you're making content, make content for yourself. Make a video that you would want to watch, that you would want to look back on and listen to, and don't do it so much for other people. I think most of the time when I make a video about something, it's something that I potentially would want to look back on and reminisce about it, or maybe it's a thought that I think is important or inspirational, and it might be something, heck, I would even listen to my own video and remind myself when I'm not feeling it of some of these things, because sometimes you can feel motivated on a Sunday morning and on a Thursday evening you're feeling sad and depressed and just meh, you know? And it's nice to be able to look back on some of those experiences, some of those thoughts that you've had, and remember your own true north. So I think making content is not even just for other people to see. It's also as a personal guide post, something that you can look back on. And it can be good for those reasons. So there's just so many different reasons to, hold up a second. And I think I've pretty much covered most of what I wanted to say. But look at this dude. Isn't that creepy? The hell is this? That is not good. Ugly looking rabbit with red eyes. That is very creepy. All right. Well, anyway, enough of that. It's my first time playing with the great sword in New World, by the way. Anyway, all in all, the goal is going to be to produce daily talks that are usually probably going to be in New World or some open world game like this, where it's mostly just talking about lifestyle stuff or talking about philosophical stuff or just things that I think are worth talking about, whatever that might be. And I'm totally going to have liberty to talk about anything I feel like in those. And then there's going to be gameplay videos where I'm just sitting down and I'm playing a game and I'm sharing that experience as I do it. And those, maybe they're boring, but I'm going to do them just because, as I was saying, they're useful to me. And I think that they also diversify the channel a little bit. And then finally, I do like to also sometimes, for games that are pretty, for games that are things like city builders, where, you know, you can sometimes be spending a lot of time doing things in those games, and it's very repetitive, and it's not necessarily conducive to a uninterrupted recording session. Like in a city building game, maybe I'm just tweaking roads or naming streets or doing some really kind of mundane thing. Sometimes those games, I find it's more pleasing to put together a overview video that shows some of the results of the work I've done, and then maybe set them to a music soundtrack or something like that. So I'll do some of those little music videos that are showcasing a build that I've done, and also set to probably some sort of a gaming soundtrack or other music that is DRM and copyright free. And so there's going to be a few different things I do. I do think the main purpose of the channel will continue to be videos like this, where I'm just talking about stuff that I think is resonating with me on a life level. And I guess one thing that I would say as a goal, which I think is a challenge too, is to be more honest and more transparent in the videos that I produce. And by that I mean, on one hand, you want to protect people's privacy. Like, you don't want to go make a video and say, well, I hate my boss and my ex, and Bob, Susie, and Joe really irritated me today. Like, that's not really going to help you, especially if those people come along later and they find these videos that you've crafted, right? So you want to be a little bit respectful, but it's also important to be transparent about things that are real things happening in your life. If you want to help other people, you have to share aspects of your life. If you're not going to share anything that's risky at all, you're not going to say anything that is actually relevant, you're just going to keep it all surface level, then you're going to run out of content, because at some point nobody really cares about you saying, well, the weather was nice today, and it was 67 degrees, and that kind of stuff. The things that really are impactful are when somebody actually is vulnerable and says, here's really what I'm going through. I'll never forget a video it's out there on YouTube. It's this girl, and she just kind of opens up and she talks about how lonely she is, right? And that video got, I think, millions of views. And it was not well edited. It was just a basic raw video of her saying how lonely she felt in life. And the reason why it got so many views is because it was honest. And there's so much content out there, but there's not a lot of honest content. Even people who say that they're doing content to help other people, they're really usually doing it for views and stuff like that. And so being genuine in a world that's often very disingenuous, I think it's important. And I also think that gaming is a good opportunity to kind of have a safe space where we can talk about things that might be important and explore topics that may be serious, but we can also do it with a little bit of a veneer of anonymity. We can also protect the privacy, the confidentiality of people, and we can have content to talk about that makes those things a little bit more safe, I guess. But at the end of the day, though, it's still all about exploring topics that matter. And if you don't explore topics that matter, then there's not really any point in anything that you're saying. So being genuine and diversifying a lot of the different content I do, these are things that I'll be working on. And, you know, I guess I'll close by just saying thank you to all the people who have subscribed to this channel. I know the content is hit and miss, and I try to figure out how I can be a little more consistent as time goes on, and I try to figure out how I can improve just a little bit of something every week, whether it's the sound settings on the microphone or the sort of things that I'm talking about. I think there's been a little bit of improvement, but all in all, there's definitely a long ways to go to get from zero to a actual established channel. In any case, wherever you find yourself, I do want to say, as always, good luck on your adventure. Thank you.